Kamohelo Bombe is an established presenter, actress, and poultry farmer. She was born in Limpopo and took her first inspiration of farming from her grandmother, who worked for the biggest tomato producer in the southern hemisphere. The passion for farming followed her and her family to Soweto, where her mom and aunt built a vegetable garden and planted the entrepreneurial seed in young Kamu, selling tomatoes door to door. Kamu has used her entrepreneurial learnings to build a career in the entertainment industry from a very young age as a presenter on Josie FM's The Sizzling Breakfast Show whilst in grade 9. She has followed this on as a presenter on SABC1's Yo TV and Shift, SABC2's Living Land, and Mocha Love's Traditional Wedding. She has also appeared as an actress on South Africa's favorite soapie, Generations. Kamu expanded her talents into producing and directing with Soweto TV and as a technical director for both Big Brother Nigeria and South Africa, as well as SABC Sports. In 2013, Kamu started a chicken farm, and though she walked away from that venture, she has recently come back into farming, having secured more land in Pretoria and expanding from poultry into vegetable farming. This is the story of Kamohelo Bombe.
Let's start with, where did your entrepreneurial journey start and how did you start the business?
So I was born in Limpopo, 30 years ago. So my mom and grandmother used to work for the biggest tomato producers in the southern hemisphere, which is ZZ2, wabona. And go high, they also used to grow tomatoes. I'd see my mom after school, I rekisa di tomato door to door just so that I can regular boroto. And I'm like, so agriculture actually in a because I mean growing up I thought fela so that we can eat, you know. So when I moved to Gauteng, the buildings and I'm like, yeah. So much more Gauteng bajaing. Do people even farm in Gauteng? And I started doing my research on agriculture then because I wanted to start farming. I was busy, looking for information, an academy that I can go to just to equip myself and learn, which is very important. Training is very important in agriculture.
But next I grade next. And one day I decided to go on and say, hey guys, I want to get into agriculture, but I've been looking for a place where I can learn more. And I'm struggling. Luckily, viewers called in and say, hey, you can go to these institutions. And I went, I did a broiler training for 3 days. So, because I believe that, agriculture is more of practical than theory. So even if you do it for a day, but it has to be more practical than theory, you know what I mean? So I did that. And then in 2012, I registered Kamohelo Group. So for me as an entrepreneur, what's important is market research to say, okay, yes, I want to grow these chickens, but the question is, who needs chickens? That time, and I'm like, let me drive to Zirbekom, because the farmers sitting at. I drove to Zirbekom, I met a lot of broiler farmers, egg layer farmers, and then I started buying chickens, started stocking eggs from them, I started stocking acha, and then I used to do the month-end combos. So market yaka henele bo kokobale ba kholang mo dende.
Cause what's even guaranteed month-end chelete ite.
So they for those hampers, right? And then every month hey in Nahore, then they pay, and then I'm like, okay. In actual fact, township economy was townships. And then I did that for a year. The following year, I went to Zurubakam again, and then I met a lady called Osinkele, and then I want to start with broilers. So you can rent a house. It was a house in Gang, 2,500 broilers. You're very excited. I'm like, so I started with 2,500 broilers. Yeah, the biggest mistake. So how can I go? So when you're looking for a farm, it's very important to check the surrounding. This farm, Ikokai, where is it based? So that farm was next to a railway station.
Oh,
now
chickens and noise.
Broilers are very, very sensitive. So every time they feed mortality.
Wow.
Chickens are dying. So they'll die, but next understand
why?
Because I started Feb, so the weather was, okay. And then I'm like, is it feed? And then I called a friend of mine, then I checked, no man, these chickens are fine. I'm like, maybe I can feed enough stress pack medication. And then the next door neighbor said, the reason why actually they're selling this farm is because it's next to a railway station. So you can't really grow chickens here. I lost about 220K. So I didn't make money. And then I stopped. I'm like, self-introspection, if I still want to do this. And then in 2015, I saw an ad on a newspaper. Former Mayor City of Johannesburg, Parkstown, launched an agri-park for young people and women who want to get into agriculture. So I applied, and then I went for a presentation to say, this is how I'll utilize this 1 hectare if Limpayona. And then they gave me that 1 hectare. And then because of Johannesburg, broiler, I decided to do layers. So I started with 1,500. So they used to lay eggs every day. So they lay 80%. Remember, the crack seeds, they don't lay eggs, you know. And it went well. No, they don't. No, sometimes they don't. They just don't lay eggs. And it went well. I mean, the market was there. Now, an agri-park is like an estate. You know, there's no way we how to red. So an agri-park it's like that. So it was next to a squatter camp. So I could see while shooting, my farm manager hire, they break in both.
Oh no.
Now I have to start from scratch again. And then I'm like, I'm writing to the Department of Agriculture. I never I need my own farm. I wrote to Rural Development and Land Reform. I said, hey, I'm a young farmer. This is my experience. I'm looking for land. And then they said to me, okay, currently we don't have anything in Gauteng. However, should we have farms that are available, we'll let you know. Then I think 4 months later, I got an email from the department. They said to me, we've got 2 farms. One was in Bronkhorstspruit, one was in Kamohelo in Pretoria, towards KwaMhlanga. And then again, you present to say, if we give you this farm, this is how I'm going to utilize it. And I did a whole presentation. And I was lucky to get the farm.
And here you are today.
And
what
yeah,
a journey, my goodness. I think one of the things I'm really hearing as a common thread in your story is failure.
Yeah.
And so often as entrepreneurs, we think we're going to get it right the first time or the first 2 times. Yeah. I mean, to lose almost R250,000 rand, how do you begin to heal so you can start again as an entrepreneur?
So after losing everything, then I realized, as much as I said I did research, in actual fact, I didn't, because, you know, with agriculture, it's all about diversifying. So there are other crops that you can grow in winter. There are other crops that you can grow in summer. So then what I did, I did my research, started visiting different farmers to see what they did. And I went to this other farm in Centurion, it's Naledi Farm. So they do a lot of things. They've got the harvest table where every Sunday people come in, tourists come in, and then they harvest whatever that they have for that season, and then they cook. That's how they're making money if they are not, you know, they're not growing anything. And then that's when I realized, this is interesting. So now as a farmer, how do I then become innovative whilst I'm still waiting for my farm to be ready? And then I started hosting workshops, because remember, I realized that when I started in the industry, access to information was such a huge problem. So I started running poultry workshops, and they were very successful. I started doing a lot of consulting. In that, I started a shop. Because again, some of the challenges that farmers are facing is access to the market. To say also, Woody, I've realized that black farmers, when they get into the agribusiness, the first thing that they want to do is, I want to supply ShopRite. But as a small-scale farmer, are you ready to supply ShopRite? Do you have the capacity to supply ShopRite? As a small-scale farmer, you don't go to ShopRite. We don't start there, because there's a lot of things that, you know, ShopRite needs. Your EIA, there's just a lot of compliance. Certification is just a lot. So as a small-scale farmer, you don't worry about that. So much so that I decided to open a shop in Soweto. So we were a mini wholesaler. We were rekisa mai to Kota outlets, to butcheries, and it's actually doing so well. And I strongly believe that, you know, research is very important when it comes to, you know, finding your market. And to be honest with you, if Momo Northwest or Lokokasi, that's where your market is. And then in that, you start doing research for, okay, ready to go to ShopRite. What is it that they need?
Yeah.
While you're working, doing information, so that should they give you that off-take, you know that you are ready.
Sure. I think as much Babansu, right? Rinyata small beginnings.
We do.
Rinyata small beginnings.
We
And
do.
it's not to say that eventually you won't get to ShopRite one day.
You will.
But you need to start where you are with what you have. Mara, when are you focused on, no, DTI, I'm paying 2 million so that I can go straight to ShopRite.
Yeah.
As opposed to saying, I'm paying 200,000.
Yeah.
Get that right. Then you move on to the next.
But-
Get that right.
But also you must remember, for FNB to give you funding, the first thing that they want to have when the financial institutions are take off-take agreement. Do you have an off-take agreement? No, you don't have. So that's why a lot of times when you go to these financial institutions, they want that. But because people are just so excited to say, I want to grow chickens, and then I'll start approaching your financial institutions, I'll then start approaching ShopRite. It doesn't work like that. You know, it's the other way around. You start by doing your market, your research first before you start. Do you know, I can open my phone now. I think I was showing you every day when I wake up with this DMs. Just yesterday, someone said to me, Kiko Valley, I've got 3,500 chickens. I can market. They eating my profit. I'm like, how do you even begin to grow chickens with market?
Yeah.
You know? And I said to her, venue or whatever, and then we take it because if they eat and it just cheap, if not, it's like 85 randa, you know, it's like 50 randa because feed is very expensive.
Yeah.
It is expensive. So I would say, if it's like any other business, before you start, we just don't grow chickens for the sake of, oh, I've got 3,500 chickens, but you don't have a market. If market how it's 200 people, grow 200 chickens.
And start there. We don't like doing research, hey?
No, we don't.
Oh no, I've got this business. It's going to work. I'm just telling you it's going to work. But you actually haven't done the work. Today's summit is all around, how do I find the right funding for my business?
Yeah.
Right? You've spoken to us a lot about from here to here to do this, and you eventually got to places where you were either given grants or you applied for something. Talk to me about the challenges you experienced when it came to funding your business and how you overcame the challenges, because I know for sure there are entrepreneurs sitting in this room right now who just got a rejection letter and they're just like, that means my business doesn't work.
Yeah. In agriculture, Shem, I haven't approached the financial institutions mainly because this is a new farm and I want to go commercial. So if you are growing over 4,800 chickens, they want an EIA, which is Environmental Impact Assessment. So
didn't you say that one certificate is 300,000?
Yeah, it's 300,000. So it's just a tool to assist you to say, okay, more of farm
just a document to get you ready to provide to retailers. Because remember, they need to abide by certain compliance things and standards. But again, it's not to say one day you won't get there. But you start where you are, because one day we'd love to see Kamu's chickens everywhere.
Of course. So it's that the EIA, it's a huge problem because I mean, at the farm I want to produce 40,000 eggs a day. So then I need an EIA, and EIA is 300,000.
How now you're not 300,000?
So I'm hoping that the Department of Agriculture will fund that, but it's risky. Here's the thing, EIA happy. So upatala that 300,000. While they're busy with that EIA, it can come back and say fail or declined. They're not gonna give you that 300,000 back.
Sure.
So that's the challenge, Kayona.
Yeah.
So I haven't, because every financial institution, but the first thing that they want is an EIA. The off-take agreement. They want that EIA.
Yeah.
So that's why I haven't approached them, because I am busy working on that EIA.
But you're working on it, and that's what I'm
working on it. Yeah.
You're working on it. Okay. Some of the mistakes you've made with money, talk to me about those.
Some of the mistakes, and I think you mentioned earlier, so I'll be going out with my friends, and then Kamu have personal account, and that is very dangerous, eh?
Yeah.
And then we do it. So that's the biggest mistake. And then we go, oh, I know that I've got a gig that will be paying this much. Okay, after getting paid.
Yeah.
And that because of this 10 cent
and when you're going to FNB to go and apply, they're looking at your books and it's not balancing.
Yeah. Those are the yeah, that's the mistake that I've done.
All right, let's go to some questions from our entrepreneurs here today. We've got one from Ki Lindiwe Makuleni saying, with all the challenges that you went through, what made you to always start again? Because I can hear that you've lost a lot of money.
Yeah. I'm very, very passionate about agriculture. I think when I started, I read an article that said, if we don't start farming now, there will be starvation in 2050. So I'm like, So we need to start farming. And what keeps me motivated is that I strongly believe that if there's one thing that can help boost our economy and create more jobs is agriculture. The value chain is long. And I've realized that, but we were talking about this yesterday, that hard work agriculture, they think primary farming. It's not. In actual fact, we need more young people to get into the processing side of it. I can be a grower, I can grow broilers, but I need someone who owns an abattoir to process the chicken. So that keeps me motivated.
Yeah, knowing that there's so much more that you can do. Here's a question from Umpumetsi Ari. In her own personal experience, your experience, Kamo, which sector in farming would you recommend new self-funded farmers to start with? And do you have any insights on accessing commercial markets? I know you're very passionate about Ntwene. Don't even try to go to commercial markets.
So for someone who wants to start, a lot of financial institutions are now, I don't want to say running away, but they fund they fund people who are doing agro-processing, mainly because of climate change. So you can imagine F&B gives you 2 million, and then drought.
Yeah.
So you can't grow those tomatoes. But for someone who processing the tomato to make tomato paste, they'd rather give that 2 million to them. We need more young people to be innovative. We need young people to get into the processing sector. That's where the money is. That is where the money is.
Here's a question from Buyiso Williams. How much should one invest in order to start having layers? Sometimes information is not as freely available, right? And maybe to add on to that question, it's about sharing some advices on platforms that you went to, that you found that were helpful to you. Because we can all say research, where am I checking?
So is it how much to invest?
Yes,
when
how
you
much
want to
should
start
one
a layer
invest?
production?
Yeah, especially if you're starting from home.
Well, it depends. I mean, if you've got a bigger land at home, I would advise you to start with 1,500. Just 1 point of layer, 100 rand. So 100 times 1,500. Chicken feed a bag. So if it's 1,500, it means a day with a feeder 2 bags. A bag, 50 kg. I think it's about 350. And so you need a good 120k. If you're not using cages, if you're doing free range. But if you want to buy cages, for just cages, if fella will need 60,000 just for cages, 1,500 beats. So yeah, it is expensive. Layers are expensive. Start with broilers. Layers are expensive.
But again, I think when we look at the theme of today's summit of finding the right funding, it's you need to know your business inside out.
Yeah.
You need to understand what that 120,000 rand is going to do. The business doctor said to us, if I gave you that 120,000, what are you going to use the money for? So if you're talking about caging, 20,000, 50,000 to actually buy these chickens that I need. 10,000 I need to install electricity on my farm. Because you can't just say a number. What is the number for?
But also, can I say this? We've got Department of Agriculture, guys. You go to those offices, there are people who are hired there to assist you. They won't give you money, definitely not, but they will give you infrastructure in inputs. So you can literally go to the department and say, I've got a farm, I've got infrastructure, I just need you guys to buy me inputs, whether it's seeds, whether you need feed, whether you need chickens. They are able to do that.
Yeah.
So
an insight for me is that as entrepreneurs, you often think you need money cash. And you don't realize that things like grants, things like teaching you marketing is actually an investment in your business. It's not hardcore cash, but it's actually something that can help you. Did you ever apply to some of those programs where
it wasn't cold hard cash that they gave you.
Yeah.
But you got a skill in your business
Yeah.
that you can turn into money.
Yeah, I did. I mean, the Department of Agriculture in Gauteng, when I started, like I said, they gave me inputs, they gave me chickens, and they also took me for training up bookkeeping, how to market my business, which is very important.
Yeah.
Speaking
of marketing, Lese Gombele wants to know, how do you get the market if you haven't started yet? Because, and this is an important question. Earlier on, the business doctor was talking about who's your market. But what if you don't even know that? How do you begin? Did you go door to door? How do you begin to even define it?
So now, like I said, in 2012, we started from those farmers, right? And then and that's how I started building my market. What also helped me is I realized that Soweto re just patlo gagolo. So of course, as patlo sena se batla di chips, which is potatoes, se batla eggs. So ke sheba gore ko Soweto go etsiwang. If ko Soweto batho ba teng ba rata di kip, then ke stoka di kip before I start doing their business. So I'll just be a middleman first. That is important and it works.
Yeah.
In any business.
What I'm learning from you, Kamu, that's a powerful answer. What I'm learning from you is that Rirata Ubadi celebrity entrepreneurs. And hear me out. By that I mean you want to be known as the person or owner shop or ena. But you don't want to be the person that supplies the eggs to that shop.
Yeah.
Because nobody will know that the eggs are from you. You get what I mean by being a celebrity entrepreneur?
Yeah.
And it sounds like we need to get our mindset away from that because what you've managed to do is to say, let me look at the entire value chain. Not everybody may know these are Kamu's chickens, but all these farmers know.
Yes.
And all these shops and all these Nandos know.
Yeah.
They get the chicken from me.
Correct.
What are you trying to achieve?
Yeah.
Or you are famous or you want to run a business and make money. Because one can come from the other, but the one can't lead what you're trying to do. Yeah. Because you will fail as an entrepreneur if fame is what it is that you're trying to go after. I love this question that is coming through from Ulifile. But between EIA and GAP, which one is more important as a startup company? What are those for those of us that don't know?
So GAP. So GAP, somebody should have answered that question. Yeah. So GAP haholo is better when you want to supply your shop right. Baba to check your hygiene, what are you feeding your chickens. So it works for that. It works if you want to do the importing and exporting. And EIA is just a tool to assist you to say, if you've got a farm in Soweto, how will that farm affect things that are around, whether animals, nature, other plants, the smells that affect batho. So that's what an EIA is.
Okay. I'm hearing compliance here.
Compliance.
What did we say earlier on? The business doctor said, if you're not compliant,
don't.
If you're not compliant,
don't
because you're sitting here and you're thinking you keep getting rejected for funding because something is not making sense, but it's because you don't have all the right documents.
Yeah.
You haven't done the research. Because where there's money, there's people want information.
And sometimes I can feel like we're just so lazy because information is there, man. Like I said earlier, if you want to start and you want to get into agriculture, maybe you're confused, you don't know what to do, or go northwest, just go to the Department of Agriculture. There are offices and say, listen, I've got this farm, you go Rustenburg. I don't know what to do with it, but I know I want to farm. Then they will give you an extension officer. They'll allocate an extension officer to say, more soil tests, or more we can only grow sunflower, potatoes, or whatever. So information is there.
It's there. We just also don't like no's. And we also quit at the first no. Musa Shimati wants to know, can you share any physical risks that your business is exposed to that you couldn't protect through insurance, mainly because you couldn't afford it? Not every business can afford insurance from the get-go. Did any of these affect your funding opportunities?
So theft is one of the biggest problem for farmers. So much so that I think bo radiplasi ba na le tšhelete go farming because then we really do workings. And I'm so happy that Batotanobo FNB, they've introduced these speed points where you don't necessarily have to take cash. So when they broke into my farm, I then realized, in actual fact, it's either people are starving because of like they stole chickens and eggs. I didn't know about insurance when I started, but I've realized that now things are evolving. There are so many institutions that insure farms. So yeah.
It's about asking questions.
It's about asking questions. Yeah, very important.
And I think if the institution that you're dealing with can't help you, they know someone else that can. But you need to be raising the questions for yourself. Butselo Matlangu says, if I'm already using my business account to finance my lifestyle, like you're doing.
Okay.
What advice would you give in order to start doing things right so that I don't hit a wall later on when I need funding?
Iba le salary. What's about business ya how every month it's at 10,000. So you pay your rent, maybe it's 1,000 or it's 500 to stock whatever products that you're selling, and then let's just say profit ya how it's 5,000 rent. Because you need to also, when you start, you need to reinvest into the business because we all want to grow, right?
Yeah.
So it puts okay, this month can say 5,000 na kitla kitebogo or kitla ikhodisa 2,000. Hi fela ifedile hey. Yeah, don't be me. Hi fela ifedile.
When it's done, it's done. And literally separate the two.
Separate the two.
Yeah.
I struggle, I know, but just separate the two.
Yeah. What do you need funding for next? Where is the Kamohelo group going? And based on what you've learned today and your own personal experience, how are you going to go about getting that funding?
Yeah. So what I want to do, because Kikrele 21 hectares, so I can access to info. Yes, it's 21 hectares.
Yes, Queen.
And you know how much rent I'm paying every year? Just guess. No. What do you mean zero? A year.
1 million. 100,000.
Because I'm a black farmer, young, in South Africa.
And a woman.
I pay one rent every year. Yeah. But can I tell you, there's a guy.
Because she applied for a program, but you are sitting here not doing the research because Utaba compliance.
Yeah.
They're asking you to upload all your documents and you stop at step 3.
Yeah.
Shema bana baba 21 hectares bapatala 1 rand. But when I on compliance, because it's 21
But can I tell you, department you shebile so hey, but now 1 rand. So there's this guy, I think in Bronco Spray, Alicia 30 years. This one's a 1 rand. So because of it was 30 years, I think we'll relax. Move. Do you know 30 years later, because of Bakolota 30 rand?
Imagine.
No, they took the farm. Yeah. No, I have because I think I appreciate agriculture. So what I want to do at the farm is to build an agri academy that teaches women and young people not only about primary farming, but the whole value chain. So I'm going to teach them from the hatchery management, how to hatch an egg, from an egg, 21 days, to a chick, from there how to grow them and how to process them. So it's important. I'm also a qualified meat processor. So go school everything. So that's what I want to do.
What is your parting shot to entrepreneurs that are in the room that are either feeling a little hopeless with where they're at? Because you watch your ministers, right? We saw the saga with the 22 million rand flag. And you look at things like that and you get so despondent as a young person because you keep being told entrepreneurship is the answer. Young people will solve unemployment in the country, but yet, especially when it comes to funding, you're knocking on a door and the door is not opening or you're getting no's. So what is your parting shot? Just entrepreneur to entrepreneur.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say, as if you want to really get into the industry, if you want to start your own business, let's not rely on government, let's not rely on private sectors. Go to them, say only ready. I've established my business, I've started, but I'm struggling to move because of
to grow
because of this and this. Can you help me with this? I mean, we can't go to private sectors and government and say, yeah, I've got this idea. It doesn't work like that because of them. They want to know what are the advantages and disadvantages of us investing in this business. So the first thing that you need to do, just start. And you need to be passionate about it. Don't do it because of Kamo makes it look sexy. it's passion. Yes, as much as real as a challenge, but you need to love this. So that how not the challenges this how demotivator or aksabuyela. Also remember why you started.
Yeah. Remember why you started. And I'm going to say, so many of us as black entrepreneurs, you hear agriculture, but you have no passion about it. When you want to be a fashion designer because clothes is what you've always loved, but now you're going to go that side and you're going to get frustrated, as she said, because it's not in your heart. It starts from here and then everything else will go into place. Adding business doctor, they back the jockey. True. And past the numbers, can I back you as a person? Because I can truly see your passion. I think I'll leave it on this note from a message from Koketso Bukhopane Are. I love business mistakes. That is how we learn. Thank you so much for sharing your authentic journey.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kamohelo!